This is conditioned patterns. So since returning, it's been a while now, but I'm still in the integration process. But since returning from my spiritual trip to the Amazon jungle in Peru, I talk a lot about that, and I'm going to keep talking about it because it's the most transformational thing that's ever happened to me. I've been fascinated with the practice of breaking my conditioned patterns of perception and behavior, right? So what that means is catching myself doing the same old regularly scheduled program, catching myself do it and breaking it by doing something else. Same concept of the thought thunderstorm, catching myself booting up something from yesterday or catching on to a thought that doesn't really matter, but making it matter, right? The idea is I've been interested because I've experienced what it's like to go to a different realm of consciousness. That's what happened in the jungle. So now that I'm back here, as I said here, I can't take ayahuasca and DMT every day, right? Although it sounds like a good idea. I need to create other ways to achieve this goal of breaking my conditioned patterns, of leaving behind. This is what it means, leaving behind the aspects of my program mind that don't serve me. So that's what I'm saying is a conditioned pattern is potentially part of your yesterday's program, right? That no longer serves you. That's the value in identifying it and breaking it. So I use things like my morning structure. So that's something I use, right, to break this pattern. That's why I sit up and I start off with gratitude. I block yesterday's boot up. I start with gratitude. I put my feet on the ground. I look up and I say, how can I help? And I go through these things that in the beginning are me holding back yesterday's program from booting up. Just like a computer, when you boot up, when I booted up this computer, it booted up yesterday's program. Our brains will do the same thing if you're not careful. So that's why I use my morning structure is to break this conditioned pattern, because your conditioned pattern is going to boot up. So that's why I'm consciously doing these things. So I use things like my morning structure of reading, journaling, exercise, and doing live rise ups. Right now, that's what I'm doing right now with you. And you're doing it with me, is you're breaking your conditioned pattern. You can have healthy conditioned patterns. We'll talk about that. So I use Wim Hof breathing. I don't know if there's any fans of Wim Hof breathing. Look it up. WIMHOF breathing, which is ways of accessing some of these things that I might have experienced in the jungle, working with plant medicine. So I use these things and meditation, of course, to achieve the same thing. And the idea is to bypass my analytical mind, which is part of the conditioned pattern, and allow myself to tap into things that my conditioned mind tends to skip over and block, the special things. If your conditioned pattern is booting up, what the danger of it is that it has a tendency of preventing you from tapping into greatness. Greatness is in a different place than your conditioned pattern. So you have to be aware of it. So one breakthrough in the Amazon while experiencing this alternate realm of consciousness was, because that's what it's like when you work with plant medicine, is all of a sudden you tap into this other place. I just did another rise up the other day. I wrote a journal entry called There. And what it refers to is this other place that I went that my human brain doesn't have the capability to go to on its own or without help. So that's what happened over there. So now as I integrate, what I'm trying to do is see if there's another way of going there. That's why I do meditation and breathing and all that stuff. So what I recognize is that realm that I visited always exists. It's always here, this other place, this place of greatness, this alternate upper echelon level of consciousness. It always exists, yet our conditioned, limited minds are incapable, that wet piece of meat, the way that it's been conditioned, it's incapable of tapping into this realm without some help. So without these daily pattern disruptions, now you're starting to say, oh, the Rise Up Challenge, it's not just about getting in shape and success. It's about disrupting the conditioned pattern so that I can tap into this other place. And believe me, you want to tap into this other place because it's a place where you are amazing. You can do things that you haven't been taught you can do. So these are pattern disruptions. My program mind will boot up without them and start calling the typical learned and limitless, my regularly scheduled program. It'll start making the shots. It'll start calling those shots without letting me know. So the other side of this effective process is the creation of new conditioned patterns. So now here we are. Conditioned patterns can be a bad thing if they're from the past. But what I'm saying is if you recognize that and you disrupt them, you can create new conditioned patterns, right? I think most of you would understand them and describe them as habits, right? So habits that over time become part of your new upgraded programming. We're talking about reprogramming our minds right now. I don't know if you're grabbing onto that, but you control that. So my new normal per se, go create a new normal today, but understand that your new normal is going to be abnormal compared to the herd, right? The herd has taught you that they're normal because most people do it, but that's abnormal to think that you can be successful and follow that normal. You create a new normal, which they think is abnormal, and they don't like when you stray from the herd, right? They hate you because they ain't you, but that's the new normal that you want to break the conditioned patterns of your programming and rewrite your story with the new programming and new conditioned patterns that better serve your dreams. That's the choice. Who cares what everybody else thinks? The question is are your conditioned patterns, your regularly scheduled program, are they in support and leveraging your dreams? If not, stop it. Unless you've decided that you want to use them to not achieve your dreams. Are you aware of your conditioned patterns and whether they serve you or not? If they do not, have you determined what new activities, what new patterns, thoughts, feelings, and actions do support your dreams? Well, you have to have a dream if you want to identify what leverages them. And are you ready to start practicing them and conditioning new unconscious patterns to become competently and unconscious about these new patterns, right? Unconsciously competent. I don't even know that I'm doing them because they're new patterns, but they're in service of what I want. That's what's happening with my Rise Up now. I don't not do it. The only time you guys see me not show up is when family comes into play. So if not, but curious, if you haven't done this yet, but you're curious, well, then let's have a conversation about the easiest starting point that will shift things for you in the right direction. And that is your physical health. You see, it's a big component of the Rise Up. It's more than vanity. It's more than even improving your health and living longer and helping you handle adversity. It's a process of reconditioning this whole game, reconditioning your new healthy habits into your system for life. And remember the saying that it's on a healthy body that rests a healthy mind. So try that for size today. Put that in your pipe and smoke it today and see what it might open up for you tomorrow. Make sense? So love and appreciate you. I will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern at the new time. And I hope you have an amazing day. Come follow us in our Rise Up with Dragon Facebook community, and join the podcast. Please share it and all of that jazz. Go to riseupwithdragon.com. Get on our newsletter. All of this stuff that I've been kind of teasing about, the ayahuasca experience and everything I did in the jungle. That's coming in my next book called Bring Forth. The first book's coming out sooner than you think. But anyway, love and appreciate you and have an amazing day.